Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how I use my Elgato Business Deck XL to increase my productivity with my workplace tools and business apps. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, didn't it say Stream Deck on the box? Why did I call it a business deck? Well, let me explain. When the first version came out, I have an original Stream Deck. In 2017, it really was designed for streamers. Instead of clicking around in your menus of your streaming software, you just click a button on the Stream Deck to switch your scenes, or to do your visual effects. So yes, it was a Stream Deck, but in the years since then, the Elgato community has put out so many plugins for this device that you could now use it to control Microsoft Office and Teams and Google apps and Zoom apps and WebEx apps and Adobe apps and DaVinci apps. And if you work with stuff like Adobe and DaVinci, you know how helpful this kind of stuff can be. So here behind me is my setup. Let me show you the full view. And you can see, yes, I am dual wielding. I have two Stream Decks, and I'm going to show you how I use the two together to kind of make 20 Stream Decks. With Elgato, 1 + 1 = 20. And then at the end, I'm going to show you, for those of you with one Stream Deck, how to kind of do the same thing, how to make one Stream Deck into 20. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you really quickly the software that I use to set up the buttons on the decks and a feature request that I have for Elgato. So let me show you my Stream Decks. Let's put this back on the stand here. And this profile, I'm calling them profiles, button setups, basically. They're changeable. I set up just for this demo. Let me click this to go to my normal profile. This is what I'm usually looking at. So let's start with the original Stream Deck. I'm using the original Stream Deck for two things. The top row, I'm using to control my 5 most common everyday business apps. And the bottom 2 rows, I'm using to control the Stream Deck XL. So on the top row, first we have our email. When I press this, it opens up my email app. I happen to use Gmail, so it opens up the Chrome browser to Gmail, but it could open up Outlook, it could open up anything. And I have my little email bouncing back and forth. Second is my calendar. How many times a day do you open your calendar? So here we are going around the sun. The next thing is business chat. I live in my business chat application. This opens that right up. This next one is just Windows Explorer. It literally just opens up Windows Explorer on my desktop to the Let's Do Video Working Files folder. I know some of you might be saying, I have a little thing in Windows. I click that to open up File Explorer. I don't need a Stream Deck for this. Yeah, I used to think that too. This is better. Trust me, I press this button so many times a day. And the last one opens up my video editing software. I use DaVinci. This is, for me, this is where I make my magic. So these are my 5 business apps. Now these next 2 rows of buttons, and by the way, all my buttons are temporary. I'm still moving everything around. I don't like the way some of my buttons do. Don't judge me on my buttons. It's a work in progress. But the second 2 rows of buttons control the big Stream Deck. So when I start a Zoom meeting, I press my Zoom icon and I have all my Zoom buttons. So instead of clicking around in Zoom, I have my mute button. Now I know this is a lot. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these and delete the ones that I'm not using. Like right now, this one, end call. That makes me nervous. I don't want to end a call by accident, so I'm just going to delete that. Get it right off my... I'll show you how I did that later. It's obviously very easy. You just saw me do it. And I would customize these. I would make sure I just have the ones that I want, but this is how I'm going to use Zoom for now. And by the way, this is using hotkeys. You know, with Zoom, there's hotkeys you could do. I think it's Control A or Alt A does mute audio. This basically presses Alt A for that. But the amazing Andy at Zoom has been working with Elgato. They're going to have a native plugin profile set soon for Zoom. And that offers a lot of advantages. For one thing, there's feedback. So when you hit the mute button, it could change colors. You know when you're muted. The buttons themselves can tell you what's going on in Zoom. So going back to our original Stream Deck, my next button, this is Discord. Discord is more of a community chat app, but I do use it for business a lot. So this helps me out in Discord. And again, I'm going to put custom icons. I don't like these icons. I'm going to make my own icons, and you could, as you see, make animated icons. I'm going to make this my own. The next one, using the old Skype icon, is Teams. And you can see what's going on here. This profile was actually meant for the original Stream Deck. It's 5x3, but I'm using it in my Stream Deck XL, and now I'm going to fill in the other buttons with whatever I want. Next, I have a profile for writing tools, and you can see this also was a original Stream Deck profile that I'm filling in, but it opens up Grammarly and ChatGPT and Word and other writing tools that I use. This next one, oh, this is a good one. This is for DaVinci, and actually, this button there's pages within this profile. DaVinci has a lot of buttons. I'm going to have to go through this again. This is a little bit overwhelming. I'm going to cut down and just make sure it's the buttons that I need. But if you ever worked with Adobe or DaVinci software or any kind of editing software, you know that this is going to be incredibly helpful. The next profile is a little hard to explain, and it's constantly changing. It's sort of a little sandbox for me, just stuff I don't know what to do with, some instances of OBS and some streambots and things, and I want quick access to them. It's sort of like a little playground for David. I just keep moving stuff around in here, but I need a profile for this. Now, I do use my business decks for streaming, so the last 4 buttons are actually for streaming. This is my streaming profile for my guitar stream. And this is an old streaming profile. I've been using it for a while on the old deck, and I moved it to the new deck, and now I'm going to expand it, as I said before. And this is something interesting. This is a profile that I use for one of my business streams, Let's Do Video stream. And if I press it again, it's a different profile for a different Let's Do Video stream. So all of these have been 1 button for profile. I'm going to do that for all these. They're all going to be 2 profiles per button. So I'll make Zoom and Teams 1 button. It'll toggle between Zoom and Teams as I use this to toggle between my 2 live streams. So these 10 buttons will be 20 stream decks. So the last 2 profiles I'm going to show you are really fun. I'll try to go through them quickly. Let's start with this one. This is my pre-stream checklist from my guitar stream. There's a lot of things I got to do to get ready, and I'm worried I'm going to forget something. So some of these buttons are active. They open pieces of software. They move things around on my screens. They actually do things that I need to have done to get ready. Others are just checklist items. For example, the top one says reboot. If I click that, it's not going to reboot my computer for me. It just lets me know that I did it. It's just a reminder. Also, there's another one. Teeth. Let me know I checked to make sure there's nothing in my teeth. It's not actually getting in there for me. And as I'm clicking them, you can see it's revealing a picture. So when they're all done, it looks like this. And when I see this, I know I'm ready to start my stream. And this final profile that I just switched to is my pre-stream checklist for my Let's Do Video stream, for the work stream. And it's just all checked off. Now, if you only have 1 stream deck, you could still kind of do this. I don't want you to feel left out. What you do is you just treat the last row or the last 2 rows of your Stream Deck XL as if it was the original Stream Deck. Let me show you. It'll make a little more sense. So I'm using these 4 buttons, and I can switch between my writing, my guitar, my Teams, and the last one. And you could see as I press the buttons, they change colors, so I can look and see right away which profile I'm on. This is a great way to manage multiple profiles on a single deck. Okay, so real quick, let me show you the software that I use to set this up and show you my feature request for Elgato. So I'm going to bounce to the menu that I need. And oops, sorry, pressing things too quickly. There we go. So this is what it looks like. And what's cool is what you're seeing here mirrors what's on the deck. So if I switch profiles, it switches there. So what's in the preview, so called as the preview, is what is actually in the deck. And I could switch between looking at my XL and my OG deck. Let's go back to the XL for now. And as far as setting it up, you can see to the right, there's all our different types of buttons. When the new Zoom plugin comes out, there'll be a Zoom category. And under each category, you have different types of buttons. The one that I use a lot, the OG use of this is OBS Studio. Let you switch your scenes. Just drag on whatever the button is, set it up, and it does what it's supposed to do. So here's my feature request. I spend a lot of time moving things around between different profiles. As you've seen, I have a lot of profiles. And Elgato makes it pretty easy to do that. You could right-click on any button, copy it, move to a different profile, and paste it. You could even move to a different deck and go to a profile that has a space and paste it. So it's pretty easy. But I need to visualize both at once. I get lost as I'm bouncing around in here. What I'd love to do is something like what OBS has in OBS Studio. They have the live version, and then next to it they have a preview version. So I'd love to be able to see 2 profiles at once. And I know it might be confusing if you only have 1 deck to see 2 profiles, but just make it clear that the profile you're seeing on the left is the live version, and the one you're seeing on the right is the preview version. Being able to just drag buttons between different profiles and even different decks, I would use that every day. Elgato, I would use that every day. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and let me know how you're using your business decks for your productivity apps and tools. And as always, please like and subscribe.